but then, okay, then we find a lot of these symbols, and then so, you know, one of you mentioned about, and it's a good thing that you mentioned it. Well, so I talked about the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, and what you could see in the story. I mean, no matter how you interpret the story, and you give it some spiritual significance. Um, so one of the spiritual significance of these symbols, right? So a symbolic interpretation of the story of Adam and Eve is that, right, Adam represents the human spirit and Eve represents the body. And so the body kind of tempted the spirit, and so then led the spirit to fall into sin. Okay, so this is right, because the spirit has no materiality, and so that's why the symbolism of Adam is used to represent the spirit, and Eve is used to represent the body or the ego. But then, I mean, the very good point is why is it always that the man represents the spirit, right, and the woman somehow is the evil one, right, who is luring the man down into sin, and this is very sexist. And so so we have to think that on the one hand, stories from the past, they actually do have deep symbolic meanings which can convey something of the truth, but yet these symbolic meanings also come from the life of the people of the past that represents their own prejudices and their own life world. And so for thousands of years, basically, we could say that, first of all, culture was dominated by men. So all the stories, even the symbols, represented a male-centered worldview. And they so they considered that the woman who was more concerned with the domestic sphere, having babies, raising babies and children, so always concerned with the kind of the concerns of the body. So the woman was often considered to be lower down on a spiritual level, so to speak. And the man was considered, because the man was going out, and actually the men were controlling religion, and they were out and going out farther away and looking at bigger things, talking about bigger questions, doing philosophy and doing these things. So they considered themselves to be more spiritual. So then male ended up to represent the spiritual, and women ended up representing more material. And in fact, we can think about it. Mater, material, the word material comes from the word mater. And mater is actually the Latin word for mother, okay? So basically, because the body of the mother is the matter that you come out of, okay? So she's the soil. The mother is the soil that you come out of. But then you go out of it, out farther from the soil, right? So the spiritual is to go away from that. So right, so the symbolism really incorporates some deeply held kind of gendered prejudices. And when there are two attitudes that we can take about this. And one then is that, okay, we have to reject all of these stories because they contain a lot of prejudice baked into them, so to speak. But if we do that, we will reject all of human culture, basically, right? And we can't erase our history. We can't erase all of our civilization, all of our past. So I don't think that's a good idea. You know, and we've had revolutions in the past. I mean, in the Chinese Revolution in the 1950s, in fact, that's what they tried to do, to completely erase and everything from the past. It's not a good idea. So rather what we should do is we should try to understand the valuable meanings, but always remember that, but without accepting some of the prejudice that is baked, that is kind of incorporated into the symbols, right? So now we know that men and women are equal. And so no story or no symbolism of the past can shake our conviction that men and women are equal. So that's the way I see it. Yeah.